and older sister. And my brother, he passed his theory test first time, but failed his practical, and then passed it the second time. My sister was the other way around. She passed the theory the second time and the practical first time.
Yeah, you did them both first time, did you?
I did them both first time. I won the best. So, I'm a bit of a knob when it comes to talking about. I always like to brag about things like that. But,
yeah, but anything you can brag about when it comes to siblings, you're gonna brag about.
God,
so it's all good.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
Dave.
Yeah, doing well. I should have put a note on the page saying we're going to be chatting about this rather than just kind of loading it up as live. So I'm just going to do a real quick message now saying...
Slow at camera, buddy.
But while you do that, I'm going to quickly go and grab a drink.
All right.
We'll get dry mouth whilst we're speaking.
Low at camera, buddy.
God, have we got...
Can you hear me?
Have you got the new...
Hello?
You got this? Can you hear me?
There we go. Are you lagging behind for about 10 seconds there? Dave?
Are we all good now?
Say 1.
1, 2, 3,
right.
4, 5.
That's fine.
All good?
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah. I just didn't know if you were getting a message.
Are you on this new Facebook look and feel now? I got a message this morning, like they completely changed the layout of it. Have you seen that?
No.
What about you, Tom? Are you getting it? I got a message from Facebook this morning, so I've got a completely new layout.
No, I'm not seeing that. I've seen that loads of other apps are updating and changing. Snapchat's all changed, so it wouldn't surprise me, but I've not seen anything. Not seen anything about Facebook.
All right, so we're about to go live.
Jeez,
so,
taking the reins.
Now I'm letting this grow.
I've not gone live yet, so can anyone enlighten me about what the fuck the other Tom was doing in the early hours of this morning?
I've not got a clue, mate. I seen that this morning when I got up. I was like, there's no way this was actually 2 hours long. I watched about 20 minutes of it. I couldn't sit through the full 2 hours.
I had to double check. That's why I was messaging this morning. I had to make sure it wasn't that Audio Boom or City link that he uses, and it's just replenishing old videos. And then when he said max was 5, I was like, hang on, that. And then I had to look down there. Everyone was commenting and talking to him, but it was. You could tell he's had a 1 too few many. What was it 10:1? He said he started.
Yeah, so I watched a few minutes of it, and he just basically slumped in his seat and letting the other guy talk.
His intro was a bit all over the place as well. You could tell from the get-go that he'd been on the pop, couldn't you?
That is brilliant. Okay, let me talk.
Are you taking the reins here then, Dave? Are you going to be
I will do.
That sounds good to me.
He's looking like the proper retro mank with that top on, isn't he, Tom?
Oh, look at this. Yeah.
Going fighting on the Kippax Street, are we?
Yeah.
Proper Kippax quality.
Yeah.
I don't know how I did it, but I got my brother-in-law, who's a huge Red. This was when it was still the old main road, so the superstore was there. I got him he went in there and got me this for Christmas.
Yeah.
Still don't know how
Nick.
Did that, but okay. So all things Arsenal, semi-final. We're about to tune in. All right.
How's everything family-wise your end, Dave, before you start?
Yeah, we're all good. I mean, like you've probably seen in the news, it's getting really bad here in America. There's 360 million people in this country, and 359 million of them are idiots. So they're basically refusing to wear masks. So
don't out when the most powerful person in your country is telling them not to wear masks, though, does it?
No, and I don't know if you probably did see that. Did you see what he did on the White House lawn yesterday?
I can't say I have. I seen him with a mask on the other day, but I don't know what he's done yesterday.
He did this. He had 2 cranes brought in. This is the White House. This is, America's Buckingham Palace, basically. These cranes in and had 2 massive Chevrolet trucks. And then just talking, and then all he did was talk about, I'm going to make sure that people aren't I'm going to save Americans money. Stop using your dishwasher 3 times a day. I want to save you guys water. It was just mental. I don't know what he was trying to do. I mean, we all know he's lost the plot anyway, but
Yes.
that took it to a whole new low yesterday. But yeah, Oregon is one of the better states. They tend to have quite intelligent people here, and as I've told you before, the wife's a doctor anyway, so she knows the score. She gets COVID tested every week, so we're just kind of staying out of it. We had a big call with the school district last night. It's probably going to be it's going to be distance learning, certainly in the autumn. They might go back 2 days a week sometime in like November, December, but we just have to get used to it. I've been told by my boss, I'm not going back in the office until the earliest January, the earliest. So it's bad here, and this is what's going to be Trump's downfall. The way that there's enough Trump supporters now who are realizing we've got to get this guy out because people are dying because of him.
I think prior to all of this coronavirus stuff happening, he was massive favourite to win his second term, weren't he? And now if you look at it, I think Biden's quite substantially favourite now, isn't he? Which is a worrying prospect in itself. But like you say, he shot himself in the foot with the way he's dealt with the whole situation from the get-go, and the fact that he's so stubborn that he won't change his viewpoint from what he initially came with, and he'll keep running with that until, like you say, until someone else comes and kicks him out.
Yeah,
it's the very same here now, though.
Yeah, Biden's going to get. I think Biden's going to win if you look at unless he does something really stupid. If he just says the right things the next 4 months, he'll probably win the election. Yeah. But I think he'll only get 4 years because, kind of to Tom's point, he isn't great. He reminds me a bit of Ronald Reagan. He's old, dementia's setting in a little bit. He's not quite all there, but he's still better than Trump. And what we keep hearing now in America is that The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, is probably being primed to maybe run in 4 years' time.
I tell you what, he'd win it, I think.
Well, he would. Well,
it's the only thing he's not done, hasn't it? He's got just about every other notch on his belt. Just president's the only thing he's missing.
I mean, they know if Schwarzenegger, a bloody Austrian, he run the California governorship, and that's the biggest governorship in America. It's the biggest state, the richest. And they all said if he'd actually been American, he probably would have won the presidency if he wanted. No. The Rock is actually American. So that's what we're hearing now, that Biden will get 4 years. And then The Rock, you're going to see over the next couple of years, he's going to start making more political statements and kind of getting into a few more things. And he's probably going to run.
He's posted video after video, and he's very political minded, is Johnson, isn't he? He knows his stuff. When I saw it, because it was on Lab Bible, when I first saw it, about a year ago, when he said he was going to run for it, I thought someone was just having a laugh and it was just a piss take, something like that. And when I've watched video after video, he knows his shit, doesn't he?
He's convinced you, hasn't he? He's sold it.
Yeah, well, he's just so switched on. Obviously, all his movies are god awful now. But he's so switched on as a human being. He doesn't show it enough for me. If he shows it enough if he's being serious with the presidential candidate, I reckon he could walk it.
Yeah. Like, there's nothing, all these politicians have got skeletons in the closet.
Yes.
And this guy just doesn't seem to, he born, raised in a good family, went to college on a scholarship, for American football. That didn't work out for him. Went into wrestling, became, the biggest wrestling star, in the world, moved into movies, he's getting a better actor every movie as well. Yeah. And he just seems a genuinely decent human being. And that is what America is crying out for. Like, we need to get back to an Obama who was actually a decent person. So I think there's enough Americans now who are realizing, what the fuck have we done here? He's letting people die. All this stuff about, hey, we want these schools to open. We don't give a shit what's happening, by state. You're going to open these schools up. And thankfully, it's not the White House who make that decision. It's the actual state. It's the governor of that state. And thankfully, even they're saying, yeah, we're not going to listen to you. We're going to do what we feel is right for people in my state. So I think he's going to be out.
Yeah.
So that's all we have time for in this political episode.
And there you go.
Manchester's Blue podcast. Thanks for joining us.
It's so fun. I've just been talking to a mate of mine who I've mentioned loads of times to you, Rob, who's from Manchester. He married an American girl. He lives here in Portland, and I've just been WhatsApping with him. Asking, what does she think, about all of this? Because I just said to him, I'm so glad my kids have got dual citizenship, because fucking hell, Trump could send us into a World War III, and my son is now 14, nearly 15.
Yeah.
They might do conscription, and they might fucking put my lad in a bloody soldier's uniform and send him off to China to fight. Yeah. I'm not having that.
Yeah,
he's on the first boat back to England. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to go live on Facebook. Give me 1 second.
Tell you what, that did feel like a full podcast then, didn't it?
It really did.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if I should just talk an American accent from now on, though. That was awful. Jesus Christ.
I've heard worse.
To start. Don't we?
Yeah. I've been here 16 years. I can't do an American accent at all. I really can't. Okay. So something. We are live for City versus Arsenal chat.
Oh, have any of you lads any spoof messages yet about being called MIB? Somebody messaged me not long ago who I told to link to the page saying, when are we going to start showing pictures of Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones? I thought was that joke about Men in Black?
No, amazingly, not yet, but probably it'll happen soon. All right, we are now live on Facebook. Good evening, Blues. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone is kind of recovered from the news this week of Monday, and then we got our win on Wednesday, and now we move into an absolutely massive game, arguably the biggest game of our season so far on tomorrow afternoon. So welcome Dan, welcome Tom. We're just going to go through this semi-final tomorrow, get people's thoughts. We want your comments. What do you think? What is the lineup going to be? Based on what we saw on Wednesday with the team lineup, was Pep resting a lot of the players? Probably want to start off as well, from my perspective, about talking about Mr. Merlin, David Silva. So, lads, the way he's been playing since we came back from the restart, I mean, I think we can all beg and plead for him to stay an extra year. I think where I'd start this conversation is, does he start tomorrow's game?
I think for me, yes. I think, like you just said there, you look at him on Wednesday night, against Bournemouth, and he was probably our best player on the pitch. And then same again against Newcastle. When he's played, he's looked like the prime David Silva that we've had for the last 10 years. He's not looked like he's coming to the end of his career. And for me, if he's performing like that, regardless of if he's leaving at the end of the season, if he's coming to the end of his City career, if he's not the player he once was, he's playing like the player he's always been. And for me, you look at the Arsenal game against Liverpool on Wednesday night, whenever that was. I can't keep track with days at the minute. And what Liverpool lacked in that second half against Arsenal, despite having so much of the ball, was that killer edge, that instinct to get that, to find that final pass, to create that chance. Who does that better than David Silva? So I think for me, he's got to play tomorrow. I don't think there's any reason why he wouldn't play tomorrow as well.
Yeah. What do you think, Dan?
Based on form alone, he has to be. And it's like you said, his biggest game of the season so far. Arsenal will be bouncing after that Liverpool win, and I wouldn't say. I've seen a lot of people saying Arteta looks like he's finally getting Arsenal into a shape. I don't believe that yet. I think they did just get the win because of pure luck. Liverpool gifted them 2 goals, in my view. They played well, don't get me wrong, but Liverpool gifted the goals. And I think against City, there'll be no match. But in terms of David Silva, I mean, what is it, 5 games post-lockdown now for David Silva, 3 goals, 3 assists, 15 chance created. That is top form David Silva there and there. So, yeah, he has to maybe not start, but he definitely has to play.
I tell you what, as well with that is that I'm not saying that Bruno Fernandes isn't a good footballer, but if he'd put up them stats for United post lockdown, I know he's put up similar stats. Everyone would be raving about how he's the best attacking midfielder in the league, like United fans have been doing about him. And David Silva's doing that. And David Silva is how old is he now?
34.
34. Coming to the end of his career, and he's still putting up figures like that in these games, which as well, we can't forget that these Premier League games are essentially dead rubbers because we're not dropping out a second, we're not winning the league. So for a lot of players, it'd be easy just to take it easy, put in 70, 80% as opposed to what you would do if we were actually playing for something. And the fact that David Silva is still putting in these performances, scoring these goals, getting these assists, it's real testament to how good a player he is. A real testament to how much he thinks of the club and how much he wants to perform for when he's wearing the Manchester City shirt. And like I say, he's up there with the most informed players in the league at the minute. So like I've said, he'll definitely play some role tomorrow. For me, he should start. Whether or not he starts, I'm not sure. But for me, he should start. But even if he doesn't, he'll come off the bench, and I'm sure he'll have a big impact in the game tomorrow.
I agree. And I think Pep's the sort of manager as well that he likes to pick his big players for the big games, ones who can bring that experience. And a World Cup winner, 2-time European champion, he's playing out of his skin right now. I'll be very surprised if he does not start that game and have some influence tomorrow afternoon.
To go back to your point, Tom, about if it was Bruno Fernandes, everyone would be raving. Silva's done that all his City career, hasn't he? He's put these stats on and off the field. You know, he's a pure gent off the field and he's a pure legend on the field. But at the same time, I'm sort of glad he doesn't get the hype, because whether anybody disagrees, they're wrong if they disagree. And I'm pretty sure many people will agree with me on this. He has always been underrated in this league, David Silva. Nobody has ever talked about David Silva other than City fans as being probably the greatest midfielder the Premier League's ever seen. It's still all this Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes, Keane, completely different positions, some of them. Nobody ever really puts David Silva in that bracket, even to this day. So I'm kind of glad, because it means he's been able to get on with producing this absolutely world-class football for us. And we've never complained, and I don't think anybody ever will.
No, I think what the good thing is for me is there is some pundits now, you know, ex-players, and I'll mention Carragher and I'll mention Gary Neville. They've seen how good David Silva is, and they've mentioned it numerous times. What a good player he has been, and he has. He's not probably got the plaudits that he really deserves, but that's probably one of the things that I love most about Merlin, that he's so humble. He doesn't give a crap. Whoever posted that image the other day on our page with him surrounded by all those trophies, that's all he's bothered about. He's not bothered about his personal accolades. I think it's enough for him how respected he is by every Manchester City fan across the world. And he's probably reading all these comments now that please stay for another year. I don't think he's going to do. Pep's now gone on record saying, I would love him to stay for another year, but I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. But if he can leave on a high with another FA Cup and beat Real Madrid and at least get into this Champions League tournament, then God, I would just love that for him.
I'll tell you what, one other thing with David Silva for me is I totally agree with you in the fact that he has somewhat gone under the radar, has helped him in that he's not had the eyes on him that Aguero's had off someone like this, because he's not on the score sheet every week and he's just doing his role, which is to create chances, keep the game ticking, and he's done that. at an elite level for 10 years. But I tell you what, if David Silva played for Manchester United for 10 years in the same way that he played for Manchester City for the last 10 years, he'd be talked about as one of the greatest Premier League players of all time. But because he's done it in a Manchester City shirt, and people don't like to put us in the conversation with Arsenal, with Liverpool, with United, because people still think that we're not on that level, despite the fact that we are now on that level. Yeah. If he'd have done that playing for Manchester United, if he'd have done that playing for Liverpool, if he'd have done that playing for Chelsea, people would recognise David Silva for the way he should be recognised for playing for Manchester City, which is, for me, the greatest player that I've ever seen play for Manchester City. And for me, arguably, the greatest European player to ever play in the Premier League.
Spot on.
That's not a bad shout. He definitely, I know we've had Ronaldo and Messi, but I think at another club, Tom, to your point, he would have been in the Ballon d'Or reckoning as well. You know, if Modric can win it, you know, and I know that was kind of a lot to do with, you know, we got Croatia to the final of the World Cup. I get that, but you can't say that David Silva's not had as bigger influence, not just on Manchester City in the Premier League, but in the Spanish team as well. You ask any of the Spanish players over the last 10 years, they'll all tell you how good he is. You know, they put him in the same bracket as Iniesta and Xavi. It's as simple as that. And we all know how good those two are. So here's some comments. Well, Kev Sharkey, I thought this was about me to begin with. He said, Dave is getting better with age. I actually thought you meant me, but I don't think you do. I think you actually mean David Silva's getting better with age, and you're probably right. Kev also says we need to beg him to stay. Hey, what about some banners pleading him to stay in Spanish? Well, I would highly recommend that, and these little things, you know, with these groups that they're having at the games now where you can hold up banners and things like that. Please, anyone watching, and you're going to be on one of these BBC shows or something like that, you do it. You never know. Will Silva be playing in the Champions League or is his contract up? This is from Lawrence Sanchez Del Rio. Yeah, he's signed for Manchester City until the actual season is over. So, yes, he will be playing in the Champions League. Kev Sharkey again. Sooner said he was the greatest. Good. If we won the Champions League, this is John Canning. If we won the Champions League, wouldn't that be a great send-off for David Silva? Yeah, I would absolutely love that for him. It's basically the only trophy missing out of his cabinet now. No City players will ever get the plaudits while the media treat us as such. That's Kev Sharkey again. Dave Ridge, this kind of my kind of personal opinion as well. Personally, I couldn't give a toss about the media. I'm 63 and I've only ever seen this domination from Pep's Barca side in its absolute pomp. Couldn't agree more. Haters, as I said on that message to you lot the other day, haters going to hate. We're not going to change anyone's mind. So let's just focus on the football, keep winning trophies, get on with it. Yeah. Okay, so we think Merlin hopefully is going to start or at least have some influence on the game. Dan, Tom, who's your starting 11 tomorrow?
I'll let you take the lead, Dan, while I have a minute. I'm thinking on it.
I think he'll put out his strongest lineup. So Bravo in goal.
Okay.
Thing is, Bravo will be in goal.
Yeah, Bravo. I think that's the one name that you can guarantee will be on the team sheet tomorrow is Bravo in goal.
It'll be Bravo in goal. Walker, Mendy, Laporte, Garcia, Rodri, De Bruyne. I'd say Gundogan. As much as I diss him, it'll be that sort of limbo play. Foden on the left, Sterling on the right, Jesus up front.
Yeah, I wouldn't go far wide from that. I'd say the one thing that we can't have is Otamendi and Stones at centre half again, because that was an absolute catastrophe on Wednesday night. But yeah, I reckon Bravo will definitely start. Mendy, Laporte, Garcia, and Walker. Again, as much as I don't want to agree with you in terms of Gundogan, I do think it'll be Rodri, Gundogan, and De Bruyne. I think he'll play Mahrez, Sterling, and Jesus. I think Foden will start on the bench, unfortunately. But to be fair, he's not quite hit the heights that he has been doing recently in his last couple of games, has he, Foden? He's not played badly, but I think against Arsenal, looking at the way they played on on Wednesday night against Liverpool, and the fact that their chances were quite limited. I do think someone like Mahrez will be just a pot shot from 25 yards every time he has the ball is going to be the route that Guardiola will take tomorrow.
Do you think
David
that's Tom, because I know Foden can pretty much play anywhere. You know, we know that he's such a good player. But do you think he's struggled these last couple of games because of the position that Guardiola's put him in? You know, is he better when he is in that centre of midfield?
I don't know, because I've sung his praises for the past few weeks about when he played on the right, because I do like his direct style of play when he does play him out wide. He had a couple of really bad misses against Newcastle, didn't he? I'm not sure if they've not affected his confidence, but it's the first time that I've ever thought, geez, Foden had a bit of an off night tonight, because it seems to be whenever he plays that he is like, he's always on form. But I think tomorrow's kind of made for Mahrez. I think he's that kind of direct runner who will just run at that back line. And when you've got the likes of David Luiz and potentially Kolasinac playing at centre half again, as they've been playing him, who are vulnerable at the best of times, I think the likes of a Mahrez who's just going to pick up the ball and just run straight at those fullbacks and try and cut in and get on that left foot. I think he's the kind of player that you want playing tomorrow for me.
Well, I've got some news for you both. That Halifax and actually a couple of other people mentioned as well. Bravo's injured. Pep apparently has already confirmed that Ederson will be in goal tomorrow.
That is new. That is music to my ears. That is. Although Bravo's not been bad this season, but
good.
But you want your best players playing in those semi-finals, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah. You want your best players, and for Ederson's there.
Yeah. So yeah, he is good. I've not heard any more about Besiktas. I think Bravo is gone there, right? I think he's going to Turkey in the summer.
He'll be gone at the end of the season to somewhere. Yeah.
From what I've heard, it'll just be a free transfer at the end when his contract runs out. One thing I will say, as much as I am obviously joking about him being world class and everything like that, I am gutted for him because it is his cup. I know a few of us say, well, we should be playing our best team and Ederson's our number one. It is Bravo's cup, and it's a shame that he's come this far not to see it, hopefully, to the end.
Yeah.
You know, he has won us cups. We can't sidestep that. He's won us cups.
That save against Villa in the Carabao Cup final was absolutely incredible. One of the saves of the season for me, that save with a couple of minutes to go there. He has been good. He's been good since he's not been our first choice keeper. He's looked like the keeper that we thought we signed when we signed him as our first choice keeper. So I agree with you completely. I think I am happy that Ederson will be playing tomorrow. But I agree with you completely in that it is a sad end to a up and down City career for Bravo if it does prove to be that he doesn't play for the club again.
Yeah. So you've got, Tom, a couple of people saying, yeah, totally agree with your call on probably Mahrez rather than Foden playing. But yeah, the rest of the team, everyone else on the comments seems to be agreeing with that. That's going to be our back four. Love that people are really buying into now, like Garcia really cementing that place in the central defence. I'm still of the opinion that if we sell Stones and Otamendi, that's when we bring in another centre-back. If we don't, I think we've got enough strength in that centre-back position. You know, if we brought in an Upamenko, if we brought in a Koulibaly, and we already have Garcia and Laporte and Otamendi and Stones and a couple of players, Sandler, who's going to be coming back from Anderlecht, etc. Where are these big name players actually gonna get a game? I'm totally with it. If we get rid of Otamendi in the summer, which I think is likely, I think if we get rid of Stones as well, of course that frees up one, maybe two spots. So, people are asking us in the comments about, what about transfers? And I still think it's up in the air right now. I think from a centre-back standpoint, I still think we're waiting on the future of Stones and Otamendi before we start looking in that position. And if Garcia signs another contract, which I'm kind of very happy in a way. If anyone saw Messi's interview after the game last night, Barcelona, they lost at home to Osasuna and handed Real Madrid the title. Lionel Messi was absolutely fuming, saying, this Barcelona team is shite. You know, everything at Barcelona needs to change from the top to the bottom. And that takes time to sort things out. And I'm kind of hoping that Garcia sees that and realizes that, yeah, he could go to Barcelona, but they're in a little bit of disarray right now. And yes, you can go and play with the best player in the world, but he's coming towards the end of his career as well. It's going to be a complete restart for Barca. And does he want to be part of that? Or does he want to stay at City where, again, we've got these young players coming through. We've got through this whole CAS thing now. We've got money to spend. I think Pep's going to do another rebuild with young and old, and we're going to have an absolutely incredible team. And my fingers crossed Garcia wants to be part of that, to be perfectly honest. So, yeah, as regards to the team, I'm with Tom probably. I think that's a back four. Gundogan, we laugh and joke about him, but as Paul Lake says, and who are we to argue with the legend Paul Lake? Gundogan does these simple things so well, and you need a player like that in your team. And look at Dan. But
he does the simple things. I'm one of many. There are many that are cynical when it comes to Gundogan, and I don't dislike him as a player. I think the job he does it probably one of the best players in the Premier League. The job he does, but it's just so bloody boring. It's just inside most of the time. He was getting a few good passes midweek, but in terms of midfielder, compared to what he was at Dortmund, I tell you, if he brought out his own sleeping aid, he'd sell billions of them.
Just watch his highlights since he's been at City. It's like counting sheep, mate.
I don't think I've watched a full video through without falling asleep. But no, before anyone gets me wrong, he is the job he does, and it is an important job. But when you think of City in today's era, you think possession, beautiful, fast, pacey play, wonderful balls everywhere. It just doesn't. I think it's just a personal opinion. I think it's just dwelled on because it started off as just taking the mickey, and I've let it run, and then maybe there's just a bit of naivety about it now, and I just feel like he's. I'm just doing it for a piss take now, but he is to me just boring.
Well, here's the other player that Paul Lake mentioned a couple of weeks ago when we did the interview.
Don't say Cancelo.
Mention him once today. Fernandinho. He seems to be a bit of a different player since we came back after the pandemic. And we might be surprised tomorrow. Pep always throws us a curveball, obviously, but we've not even mentioned him going in defence tomorrow or going in midfield. That, you know, he's had a couple of chances. He seems to be lacking that little bit of pace. And I'm seeing that Pep is preferring Rodri in that defensive midfield role now rather than Fernandinho. I think we might see him tomorrow, but do you think, I know he's obviously going to stay at City, but do you think that he's going to be more of a bit part player for Manchester City long term rather than that first name on the team sheet?
Yeah, 100%.
Who was it that he played against? Was it Southampton in midfield?
Yeah.
Yeah, because personally, I was messaging you, wasn't I, about that game. He looked out of his depth in that game, in that midfield. I think it's spending too long at centre-back now. I think he's just acquitted to centre-back now. I think if he finishes his career playing at centre-back for City now, that'll be the wisest choice of him now. I think his days in midfield and over, but he'll be nowhere near the quality he was a year or two ago.
I think it's strange, isn't it? Because prior to this season, I'd not took any defensive midfielder over Fernandinho at Man City. I think for me, he was still the best holding midfielder for a Guardiola side that we could have had. But obviously, he's played so, like Dan says, he's played so much at centre half this season that seems to be where he now looks more comfortable when he plays. But I totally agree with you, Dave, in that I think he will now be used as someone to bring on with 20 minutes to go to steady the ship, or someone who will see in those early cup rounds or them home games against your likes of Norwich, Bournemouth, these sorts of sides, in that I can't see him starting at holding midfield in any big games anymore. And I don't see the point really in starting him over Rodri. I don't see why you'd halt the progression of Rodri in this side for the sake of someone who will only be with us for 12 months more. As good as he's been for Manchester City, and I think again he's been one of our most unsung heroes in that what he does for what he's done for Manchester City since he signed 7 or 8 years ago is that it can't go understated. Like his role has been so important to this club. But he has lost that yard of pace. He has now got used to playing that centre-back role. I think Rodri just seems the more sensible option to take now. But that's by no means saying that bringing Fernandinho on with 20 minutes to go is not an absolutely perfect outlet to have, because he's still got that know-how of playing in the Guardiola side. He's still got that knowledge of the Premier League to be able to come on and steady the ship if we need him to, or to come on. And if say Rodri's injured, I'm not worried about Fernandinho coming in for 4 or 5 games. But I can't see him playing a massive amount of minutes for City down the stretch of this season or coming into next season. But I think he knows that. I think he knew when he signed his contract that he was going to be a bit part player for the next 12 months. I think he knew that he wasn't going to get a move to a massive European club. He's not at that point of his career where Barcelona or Bayern Munich are going to come knocking. If he was going to leave City, he would have gone maybe back to Shakhtar or to one of these lower European clubs. So stay at City for 12 months, help the progression of those youngsters coming through, and just play your role where you needed to. And I think Fernandinho will be more than happy to do that for the next 12 months.
Yeah.
I'm in the form now after just finding out the news. I'm hoping next season he does play a bit in midfield as a more of his aggressive trait, because it's been confirmed after 16 years Leeds United are coming back up to the Premier League.
Is that official now, is it? Did West Brom drop points?
It's official. West Brom have lost 2-1. And I would love to see Dino in midfield against the Leeds lot. But also, on a side note, I know it's a national show, but in terms of transfers, does it look more likely that Jack Harrison's leaving now that Leeds are in the Premier League?
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
and you'd think we'd be able to get a few extra million quid for him now that Leeds are a rival in the Premier League as opposed to them playing in the Championship.
Yeah,
I think it's part of his loan.
That's my understanding as well, that was part of the agreement that, and a lot of clubs do this as well, that I think there was some option in there if they were to buy him as a set fee at one point, one fee, but if they got promoted in the season that Jack Harrison was there, it wasn't 12 million, it was going to 15 million or something like that. So with the news, and a couple of people are asking us on here as well about Ferran Torres, Jack Harrison ain't going to get, if this is true that we're going to buy him, Jack Harrison ain't getting anywhere near that first team. So we may as well take the 15 million for him or whatever it is and, let him play Premier League football with Leeds. I think he seems to love the club as well. I think the fans have really taken to him as well. So be it. I don't know anymore. A few people are asking about Ferran Torres. I kind of took a little look around this morning. My understanding is that the Manchester City Football Club and the player itself have agreed personal terms, but there's been no fee agreement between Valencia and City, but it's relatively close.
Well, I was going to say that there's this morning. Yeah, completely agree. The personal terms have pretty much been agreed. But see, Valencia put out a statement, I think it was this morning, saying the clubs are in talks with the transfer fee. However, they are poles apart in valuation for the player. They value him between 35 to 45 million euros. And the City are way off, apparently.
Yeah. Well, what did we pay for Zane in the end? 37 million, I think, in the end.
37.5, wasn't it? Yeah.
Something like that. And if he's got the same kind of potential as Zane at the same age, what he seems to have, he's Valencia's best player from everything that I've read. Comes with a good pedigree. I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to get this deal across the line. If he seems to want to come and play for Pep, which is what I'm hearing, I think they'll get the deal across the line. A lot of these things that I hear sometimes are that it's not just the immediate transfer fee. it's kind of the add-ons, with that always seems to be the sticking point. That, okay, well, we'll give you 25 million euros, but if Ferran Torres gets into once he's hit 50 Premier League appearances, for example, it's another 5 million. Once he plays for the full Spanish national team, it's another 5 million. And I kind of hear that those are the things that stall these deals sometimes. It's these add-ons that kind of take the time. And honestly, Blues, I think we've just got to be patient. It sounds like he's coming to us, and he'll be a City player within the next probably 6 weeks, I would say. So, all right, let's see. I can't see
City passing up over the sake of 5 or 10 million quid, especially given that there's no financial restrictions this summer. It'll happen. It's always the case with City. Everyone wants an extra 10 million quid for any player City want to sign because they know how much money we've got. It'll happen. We might save 5 million quid by playing the long game. And if we save 5 million quid, we save 5 million quid. So it'll be a City player by the end of the summer. I'm fairly certain of that. I'd say I'm more than fairly certain. I'm saying pretty confident of that Ferran Torres will be a Man City player come the start of next season.
Yeah. We've got a funny one. Here's one for you, Dan, here from Kev Sharkey, who's plenty of comments today. So thank you, Kev. Says here, Leeds have been promoted. If you're interested, we better chain the seats down. That's funny for me because I think City and Leeds have always got on as clubs. Yeah, there's a rivalry there, but there's always been good games, and we both absolutely hate rags, and I think we've all had that in common. My abiding
remember in the FA Cup?
Leeds has always been. I was at the game many years ago in the North Stand when they were redoing the Kippax, and I don't know if you remember when Nicholas Jensen scored that incredible goal on the volley. Anelka passed it over, and Jensen caught it on the volleyed it into the top corner. So this was in the North Stand. So the City fans, all the ex-Kippaxers were one side, all the Leeds fans were on the other, separated by the police. And this was just an absolute wonder goal. And, all these Leeds fans were just, the mouths were open. It was just absolutely incredible goal. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go onto YouTube, type in Nicholas Jensen versus Leeds, and you'll see an absolute beauty of a goal.
BBC Sport and Match of the Day on Facebook tend to do the highlights of the best goals in English football. Now I can't remember the goal off the top of my head, but I remember his name mentioned.
Yeah, that was the Kevin Keegan era. So yeah, good.
The highlight for me was
well done.
The highlight for me was the FA Cup a couple of years ago. Do you remember the FA Cup a couple of years ago where it was shoes off if you hate Man U, and you had everyone in the Etihad Stadium with one shoe above their head when we were playing Leeds, and it was like, that'll do. So yeah, no, I don't think there's any animosity between Man City and Leeds. I think Leeds fans like to have animosity with absolutely any club they play because that's just a persona of the Leeds fans. So I'm sure it'll be they'll sell out most away ends next season. They'll be a worthy addition to the Premier League. They're a club that belong in the Premier League. In terms of, you think of some of the clubs that the likes of Leeds, Nottingham Forest, these sorts of sides, they're Premier League clubs, aren't they? And they deserve to be there. So, and they've come so close in recent years. Don't get me wrong. I hope we absolutely do them home and away next season. But I'm sure they'll be a worthy addition. They'll bring a rowdy bunch to the Etihad if they're allowed to when we play them next season. So
yeah, and it's not getting up at. It's not getting up at 3 a.m. as well and getting on the supporters club bus and going down to the south coast. It's M62. It's 20 minutes away. So
I know if you replace Bournemouth with Leeds, you've saved yourselves a few miles on your car, haven't you? So that's not bad.
Here's the transfer shout for you lads. What are the odds come up? Being that he's from Barnsley, obviously not Leeds, but Yorkshire. John Stones. Because Leeds need a new centre-back. Their defence, if they keep the same defence they are going into the Premier League next season, they'll be down probably record points total on level with Derby. That's how bad I rate their defence at times. John Stones would be a fine addition for them. And he's a Yorkshire lad.
It's not a bad shout. If you can stay fit. John Stones has proved how good a centre-half he is if he can stay fit. but I just can't see City wanting to keep hold of him on the wages that he's on when he's injured as much as he is. For me, if we get any sort of significant offer for John Stones in the summer, as much as I like him as a player when he's fit, he's injured too much and he's earning far too much to keep him on the wage bill if there's any offer for him to go elsewhere for me.
Yeah. And honestly, for me, it could be the making of John Stones at the age he is now. If he went to a lesser team, so to speak, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but you've heard he could go to Newcastle, or a newly promoted club, Leeds. Imagine if he was actually the leader of that, and bigged him up of, you're our guy. He's never going to be that at Manchester City because he's surrounded by world-class players. It actually could. I'm as big an England fan as I am a City fan. I want England to succeed. And I want our English players to do well. And someone like Stones, who has all that ability in the world, Pep wouldn't have bought him for 50 million if he didn't see potential. Maybe he needs to realise that at another club, at Leeds or a Newcastle or something, where he is the big player. That reminds me, Dan, really of, like when Rio Ferdinand left West Ham and went to Leeds. And I know I think he was only there a season, right? Because then he had that amazing World Cup, and then United put in that big bid for him, and then he goes there. That really could be the same for a player like Stones, who needs to get out of City because we all know that his head's not quite right. There's been a lot going on in his personal life. Go back to your roots, go back to Yorkshire, and be the big name at the club you're at. It might do him an absolute world of good to do that. And I agree with Tom that if we get a decent enough bid for him, I think he'll be gone. Because then I think we can bring in a Kubalali or Upamenko or Skriniar or, all these other centre-backs that we've been, highlighted with. But I think that centre-back position we need to sell before we buy. Otherwise, we're just going to get screwed on another transfer fee. So really good shout that, Dan. Let's see if there's any more comments. Matt Jewett is saying that's a great shout, Dan. Let me see. Simply brilliant. Yeah, a lot of people saying on here that we tend to go to names that aren't, really in the mainstream. Kind of people knew about Zane, they kind of heard about Jesus, but, they weren't these massive, massive, massive names. And it's probably, our talent scouting, and we can see that. And I think Torres fits into that mold of that 30-40 million pound player who Pep turns a very good player into an absolute world-class player. Sterling is probably the best example of that, to be perfectly honest. So, okay, it is that time, lads. Predictions for tomorrow.
I'm very confident of tomorrow. I think Arsenal's season's peaked when they beat Liverpool in the week. I think we win comfortably, 3-0 City. You're not as confident, no, Dan?
Oh, no, I'm confident. It's just determined the right sort of confidence. Do you know, I think we're going to batter them. Absolutely batter them. I'm going to go with a 5-1/6-1.
Wow.
Jeez.
I really think we're going to batter them. So I honestly do. I mean, there's only one thing troubling me about that Arsenal side, and that's their goalkeeper, Martinez. If he plays, because obviously he's now league duty, he has been phenomenal, since Leno went out. And he's a good shot stopper. A few clubs, if he stays at Arsenal next season, will be looking to have him. And he's the only worry for me. Their back line can be broken down like it, going out of fashion. Lacazette's the player we need to keep an eye on because he's found a little bit of form. Aubameyang's dropped out of all form in my eyes. He's playing too much on the left. So all we need to worry about is our goalkeeper. But if we can get past the defence and get enough men in the box, we are first class when it comes to tapping goals. And I can't see anything other than a big win, 5-1 or 6-1, one or two.
Okay. And you think? I mean, you've hit you've given us the death knell now. You know Aubameyang's going to score tomorrow now, Dan, don't you?
Oh, God, yeah. Lacazette's going to have the worst game of his Arsenal career, and Aubameyang's going to get a hat-trick, yeah.
I'm really worried about David Luiz, mate. I think he's going to be amazing tomorrow. I think he's going to put in a 10 out of 10 performance.
Yeah, and he's got that in his locker, and that's the stupid thing about that player, that he can be absolutely wonderful on his day. I remember, at least one game when he was still with Chelsea, he absolutely battered United at Old Trafford. They just couldn't get near him. So, and he still has that in his locker sometimes. And Tom's right. You just never know with that player. He could just turn up tomorrow and have an absolute blinder, banging a couple of free kicks or something. So neither of you think this is going to penalties?
No.
If we score early, it'll be an absolute field day. I think if we score within them first 10, 15 minutes, it's game over for me. If they can get to half-time without conceding, they might make it a bit tricky for us. But I just don't see it. I really don't see how Arsenal causes any problems tomorrow. And I'm probably being too confident, and it's probably going to, like you say, it'll come back to bite me. But I genuinely just don't see how we don't win tomorrow.
If we're on form, I mean, this team, whether it's Foden or Mahrez at left, if we have KDB, Sterling, that back four, Rodri and Gundogan controlling things, I mean, they can beat any team in the world on their day. So, yeah, if we play to the best of our ability, we should beat them relatively comfortable. But I do think Arsenal will score.
What's your prediction, Dave?
Here are what I'm going to do is read out some of the predictions from our fans. Sadiq Shah.
Don't shy away from it. I'll be asking you again at the end.
All right. Okay, Sadiq Shah says 2-1 City. Kev Sharkey. Kev, you've done about 50 comments today, so really appreciate that. Thank you. 4-0. Our good friend Bill Barton, Arsenal 0, City 2. Even Bill said about your big score, Dan, wow, that is a big score. Kev Sharkey said Arsenal looked shattered after the Liverpool match, kind of backing up what you said, Dan, that, that could have been their kind of final of the season. So Matt Jewett says, think Arsenal will score, but 3-1 City. I'm going to go, God, I hate doing this, 2-1 City. The reason I'm hesitant is every time I've said that we'll struggle in a game or we'll draw or whatever, City have just gone out and battered a team. So I'm trying to be like, okay.
2-2 then, please.
Yeah, no, tell us we're going to struggle then, Dave. Tell us we're going to struggle.
Don't predict us a win.
Don't tell us we're going to win. I don't want to hear it.
Okay, it's gonna be a close. It's going to be 1-1.
Or all draw.
It's good.
Perfect. There we go. Go put your house on City winning.
My nervousness is if it goes to penalties, which I don't think it will, but if it does, I think we can all agree Ederson is not a good penalty goalkeeper. Bravo is significantly better.
Although, tell us the last time you saw us lose a penalty shootout. I'm well happy with penalties. We crap at it.
Yeah, but that's when Bravo's in goal, right?
Yeah.
We get to a shootout, we're all right.
Yeah, I would, if it does, I would like to see Ederson have a really strong penalty performance because he doesn't seem to do. Bravo does. Ederson, I'm still waiting for that for him to do that because I think, again, it will give him a lot of confidence if he was able to do that too. But, yeah, we should have
just want to see him take one
tomorrow.
Yeah, I want to see him take one. And don't forget, we've got home advantage playing at Wembley as well, so that's got to come into our favour too. So can't forget about that.
So, yeah, I think that's it. So, 3-1. Mike Warden, we never do things easy. Yeah, typical City. Arsenal to score, but City to get 2. Gary Adder, 2-1 to City after extra time. So, everyone's going for a, City win. Some people are saying it's maybe going to be a little bit closer than we think. Maybe that's because Arteta knows our team inside out. So, here's to wrap this up, here's another little question. So a couple of people are asking about Jaden Braff, but I'll frame this another way. Do you think that we might see a couple of our really young players at least get on the subs bench tomorrow? A Harwood Bellis or a Doyle or a Braff or anyone like that tomorrow?
Doyle, definitely. I mean, he needs game time. He hasn't had the chance to show, but I still think from what I've seen in EDS, he's got a lot of potential in this City squad, especially in Fernandinho's role. As a backup to Rodri, or maybe even challenging Rodri in the next few years. Doyle's got it. Braff, I pretty much nearly every podcast for the past 2 months, I've done nothing but highlight Braff. He has got a big future ahead of him, but he needs to be given that chance. And it's a go back to what me, Dave, that is, and Halifax and Chris always argue about. They need to have these chances. Braff's one of them. He'll be another Sancho if we don't give him a chance.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't think Braff's going to be on the bench.
No, I don't. I mean, he's not featured at all, has he, this season? So I can't see him getting into the squad of a semi-final of an FA Cup. But so just so the fans who are tuning into this know that Halifax of our admin team is going to start really focusing on our academy and youth a little bit with a podcast as of next week. He's kind of doing his research now. He's going to try and bring on some people on Twitter who kind of are a bit more familiar with our academy setup as well, and start talking about that. We know that's of interest to a lot of City fans, so we want to start talking about that in a little bit more detail. And apologies, that is that is my dog, so I'm going to move rooms now while we finish this up. And we're all good.
God, it just looks weird.
Okay.
That
is my dog Belle.
Not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Obviously, are your dogs allowed near the pitch at the Etihad then, Dave? I didn't think they allowed dogs on the grass there.
All right. Let's see if there's any more comments. No idea, but I think Pep will have at least 2 to give them a tay. There are only 2 players who are going to get a chance, and that's Foden and Garcia. Gary thinks Doyle and Foden. Bill Barton, no idea who, but I think Pep will give at least 2 of them a taste of the big time. We shall see, won't we? As I said, Pep always throws us a bit of a curveball, on his team choice, but I think he's going to go very strong tomorrow. I think he wants to finish this season incredibly strong. Love to get another trophy under our belt, or at least get to the final at the very least, and then we can focus on Real Madrid game, and let's hope we can get to that, at least get to that tournament, and give Merlin, as we said at the start of this call, the send-off that he deserves.
Plus, we need to get a bit of payback against Arsenal compared to last time's semi-final with them, where they beat us 2-1. That dickhead Alexis Sanchez scoring a winner. So fingers crossed we can get a bit of payback for that as well.
You mean that fella who is on 550 grand a week at United?
That's why I said he was a dickhead.
Yeah.
I'd love to be back at football and earning that amount of money.
We got stiffed by a bad call in that one when Sane's ball got ruled out when it just clearly wasn't. So it's fine. We've not got that benefit tomorrow. VAR will sort us. I'll tell you, I've not been more confident and heading into a semi-final in years. I was more worried Burton had turned us over in the Carabao Cup a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Well, here's a question to end on. I posted this in our little group chat yesterday. With all of these problems with VAR this season, do you think VAR itself will be reviewed at the end of this season? And is there a possibility that if they can't get this right, that they might take a year off, do these tweaks and get this right, and then bring it back?
It has to be looked at, without a doubt. If anybody disagrees with that, then you haven't been watching this season. It has to be. The original phrase that was brought in for VAR was clear and obvious. I've seen people, well, I haven't seen them, probably going a bit far. It won't surprise me if some of the video assistant referees that are down south, wherever it is that they do it, have got magnifying glasses on the bloody TV screens that they're looking at. That's how fine they're looking at it. It's taken the fun away from football. It's taken, arguably, the sense away from it. If something is that tight, you have to take 10 billion looks at, then don't give it. It has to be clear and obvious. We've managed for 130 odd years, 40 odd years of football without VAR. Yes, some people will argue they've had it for and against them, but managed. This season has probably been one of the worst seasons of football I've ever seen. and it's because of VAR in essence. Bar Liverpool winning the title, I think it's many people's worst ever seasons. VAR has been a massive contributor to how the season's been for everybody. Everybody's had it bad at one point with VAR.
Yeah. What do you think, Tom?
I completely agree. Although I can't see VAR being postponed or scrapped or anything like that, because I think the authorities or the higher powers who run VAR are just far too arrogant to decide it's not working. I think, like Dan says, if it's used in the capacity that it was presented to us with, in that clear and obvious errors, things like this, the handball rule will 1,000,000% change. That's got to change. There's no way that stays the same. But it's the likes of these offsides where you're offside by a boot and you've got 12 different lines coming in from 14 different angles and you've got 17 million people looking at it in the offices. It's not clear and obvious. If it's taking you more than a minute to decide the decision, stick with the on-field call. That's what they do in the likes of other sports. Rugby use video technology. The referee the referee in the rugby will send it up as a try or a no try. If the person in the VAR office can't decide that it's a clear and obvious error, he sticks with what the referee says. And that's what they should be doing in the Premier League. If it's any doubt as to whether or not it could be, might not be, is his big toe offside, has he cut his toenails, it doesn't need to be looked at a million times. We don't want to be waiting 5 minutes for a decision. If the linesman's put his flag up and you can't prove that he's onside, then he's offside. You don't need these 100 different angles and 400 different lines. And I think I speak on behalf of most football fans when I say that if VAR is used correctly, it'll be a great improvement to our game. But if VAR continue to be used in the capacity that it is, no one enjoys it. No one enjoys VAR at the minute. But we don't want to see those goals that are 5 yards offside being given. We don't want to see teams going down or winning the league on the basis of a very, very bad decision. No. But we also don't want to see these stupid decisions looked at for 10 minutes because it's just it's ruining the game. It's ruining the flow of the game. Similarly to the drinks breaks, which I think are stupid, but that's a different story to talk for another day. But yeah, it's something needs to be looked at. I don't think it'll be scrapped, but there's definitely got to be amendments made heading into next season.
Agreed.
Sorry, Dave. One thing should happen is the referees the on-field referees should definitely look at the side monitors more often, because I think there's been about 3 or 4 serious. I'm not on about offside rules here or anything like that. I'm on about serious fouls that resulted to red cards and stuff like that. Some red cards have been overturned this season because of that. The first one, I think, was Son. Where it looked like he kicked out.
Yeah, I remember that.
But there was another one involving Son. I'm sure he got red carded for it. But VAR sent him off. And the only reason it was overturned is because it was down to the situation on the field from the referee. The referee saw it in real time. He knew the motions. When you look at a video, you never see the real thing. Look, you can see a billion different angles of the same incident on TV. It's never the same as what your eyes see for themselves, and that should be given to the referee. He knows what the feeling was like. He knows if the player was lunging at him on purpose. You can see the referees, on-field referees, need to look at the side monitors more. If anything, priority over the lads down wherever they do it in a box somewhere down London. They need to.
Agree. Yeah, everyone in here, lads, seems to be pretty much agreeing with that. There is one question from Mike Warden. We didn't even really mention this, but we should do. Who do you think will win the other semi-final?
Hopefully United.
I want United. We owe them one. I think United will just edge it based on current form, but we owe United one, and I'd love to beat United in that FA Cup final. So for me, I'm not saying I'm supporting United. I would never support United, but I would like to see United win that game just so that, well, if we get beat by Arsenal, I'd love to see Chelsea slap them. But if we beat Arsenal, I'd love United in the final.
Yes, I would love to show Fernandes what an attacking midfielder really looks like in Kevin De Bruyne, to be perfectly honest. Because all of these plaudits, he's obviously a decent player, I get that, but he's not on the same planet as Kevin De Bruyne, let's be totally honest. So I would love to see that. Bill Barton asked a question as well, which I actually don't know the answer to. Maybe one of you will know. Is it 5 subs tomorrow? Because this is obviously FA Cup, not Premier League.
I'm fairly certain it is.
Yeah.
But don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm not 100% sure, but as far as I'm aware, it's 5 subs tomorrow.
Yeah.
One thing, sorry, just to go back to the semi-final. One thing I will say about United get through, it will be a nice thing to see United going through. It's nice to see these smaller clubs making it to these finals and having a real just the ones that are going nowhere in the next
Fairy tale
years.
cup
It's nice
run.
to see them get to the finals.
That's a
No
very,
dig,
very good
United.
point. That's a very good point. Yeah, we shall see. Right, lads, I will wrap this up. Plenty of views today, which is great. And thank you for all your comments.
Thanks.
City till we die. I think we can all agree. I think a tough game tomorrow, but we all seem to be pretty positive that we're going to win this. So fingers crossed. Are we doing a watch along tomorrow? Does anyone know?
I'm planning on it. Stormborough, he's finished the whole reason he's not been doing them. So if he's I'm up for it, and then if anybody else wants to join, I do apologise in advance. I tend to have quite a few drinks on match days. Like I can handle my booze. I'm not like Halifax. Halifax can drink anybody under the table and still stay standing. I have one and I'm tipsy, so I do apologise in advance. But come on, City.
Yeah, come on, City. All right, thanks, lads. City
Cheers,
till
guys.
we die. We'll talk soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
See you later, boys.